stage, on stage with Jim and Tom. On stage, on stage with Jim and Tom. On stage, on stage with Jim and Tom. On stage with Jim and Tom. Tom and Jim.
Tonight we welcome a band called Charley Peach to the stage of the Phoenix Theater. Somewhere online it's written that Charley Peach is an updated interpretation of American rock that balances dark realities with optimistic jams. Tonight we hope to explore those dark realities, but also the band's optimism and everything in between as we get to know the people behind the music, and later they will play a set for us. Please welcome to the program, Charley Peach.
Charley Peach.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
We're in.
So this band has had several starts.
Mm-hmm.
This is a band that's been around since 2012.
Well, we say 2012, but generally, it's a loaded question.
It's had fits and starts. It started and then it's kind of dropped off and then it's come back.
This is
that
Charley
a fair
Peach
statement?
3.0.
Yeah, we
3.0.
jokingly call this 3.0 because it's the third line.
So I bring it up because people have gone through this band that aren't at this table, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it's tough to collaborate with people.
Mm-hmm.
It's sometimes very difficult.
Yeah.
And my question for the table, for Tom as well. Maybe I'll jump in.
Why not?
Have you found that those who you surround yourself with personally increase or decrease the creative drive that you have?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I could write a book about that.
You mentioned in the email that there's been some kind of tough stuff in your guys' background, and I'm curious, outside of bandmates, and I'm talking about like people just in your life, friends, family, look at that question through that lens. When you're surrounded by people who are toxic or people who are like draining you, have you noticed that you create less in that context?
All throughout my life, I was never much of an academic person. I was never a great student. And I kind of went through my entire life just thinking like, I'm a C student, whatever. I'm kind of just doomed to that forever. And at the end of my junior year at high school, I had a random friend just come up to me and they encouraged me to take an AP class with them. They encouraged me to do AP English. So I just said, what the hell, I'll do it. So I did it. And I had a life-changing experience with that because I could not believe the difference of what it was like to surround yourself by a bunch of people who are incredibly motivated, all like-minded, people who are intelligent, people who are hardworking. Such a difference versus people who are just kind of there to get by.
Don't have to go too deep into it, but do you feel like there were forces in your life prior to that that maybe were reinforcing that you were a C student, that were maybe telling you can't do this thing?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, a teacher said that. I mean, all throughout, I could tell this is going to be an edited part because I stumble in my words. But no, I think that all the way from the bottom up, I think that, kids surrounding you in school, kids are mean. Kids tease you. Teachers can pick favorites, not be very encouraging sometimes. And, all that comes together.
I mean, it sounds like from your email, you guys have had to, and I'm talking about the Peaches here. It sounds like you have had to, in your life, look at dynamics that were in place in your life and say, okay, I need to distance myself from certain things so that I can live my own life. Would you say that that's true?
It's definitely true. We've written probably 40 plus songs in Charley Peach, and probably at least 15 to 20 of them are probably based around people who have not been our best friends.
You have a song called Fire in the Sky, and it's politically motivated. You don't want to talk politics. You were very clear about that.
Oh, really?
If you were a punk band, well, if you want to talk politics, you can.
No, I said no. I didn't know it was written about me.
And we have this song on YouTube, by the way, Fire in the Sky.
Fire in the Sky.
If you were a punk
Check it
band,
out.
you'd probably want to talk about politics a lot, but you're not. Politics is essentially people, I would say. So let's, instead of talking about politics, let's talk about people. What's your least favorite thing about people?
Um,
Tom shuddered like, what the fuck was that?
Existing.
assuming that someone doesn't know something, walking up to someone and being like, hey, so I noticed that you're doing this, you made this mistake, you need to fix it, and assuming that I'm not in control judging, really, like, without knowing me. I'm very much that person who does study people, and I would rather people hurt me than me hurt them. And I guess I really don't understand judgment. People judge, but putting it out there in someone's face, like, I don't get where that comes from and why that, like, doesn't make you feel better. That's just been one thing I don't understand. And not being open-minded. I mean, there's a lot of things that go with that, but I really try to be open-minded, and have a hard time relating with people who, like, if we're having a conversation, who shut other people down because they don't have the same views.
Wouldn't you say it's judgment, though? It seems like that's what you don't like.
Yeah,
It is somebody
judgment,
who thinks that they know you and feels comfortable coming up, and basically their goal is to make you feel worse.
What's your pet peeve about people?
Yeah.
I mean, I've gone into it before, but I'll say it again. I think people's inability to understand depth. I think people's judgment's frustrating too, but I think, like, just I don't know how to exactly put it. Things are not black and white.
Yeah.
You know, sexuality is not black and white. Gender is not black and white. Issues are not black and white. All of these things are very, very complicated, and I think everybody would do well to not be frustrated by nuance. It seems like people are really frustrated by nuance. How do you say it? It's like not everything is like this or that. In fact, most things are not this or that.
I feel what you're saying so hard.
Absolutely.
I was ranting to my friend in Connecticut about how it seems like that most things are on some sort of spectrum, and nothing's ever as simple as, like, us and them or this or that. And it is annoying. I wasn't even sure what my answer was going to be. But I don't know, between the two of you, that pretty much does it for me. I mean, that is really annoying when someone, like, doesn't get that. No, it's not that simple.
This conversation reminded me of something I read the other day. There was a guy named John Perry Barlow. Does that name ring a bell to you, Tom Gaffey? He was a Grateful Dead lyricist. He died recently. Sometimes Grateful Dead lyricist. And he wrote a book or a list called Principles of Adult Behavior. And I was just trying to think while we were having this discussion where my answer came from. I said tolerate ambiguity. That's what I was trying to get across. Tolerate ambiguity. That was on his list of things that would help us all live better. And there's a good list. It's like, be patient. Don't badmouth. Never assume the motives of others are to them less noble than yours are to you. Expand your sense of what is possible.
Can you send us this link?
I'll just read them. I'll just read them out loud, and you can commentate on them as I read them. Number 5. Don't trouble yourself with matters you truly cannot change.
Oh yeah.
That's actually a pretty common quote in our band. Control what you can control.
Yes, that's like my life right now.
I'm so mad that Atreyu hates my music.
Anyway, number 6. Expect no more of anyone than you yourself can deliver. Number 7, and just dive in if any of these grab
Reciprocal,
you.
yeah.
Number 7, tolerate ambiguity. That's my big one. Number 8, laugh at yourself frequently.
Dude,
Yes.
that is so me, dude.
which actually branches to something I've, like, a revelation that I've gone through in the past few weeks, actually, is just talking to myself. I actually talk to myself
too.
And I find it extremely helpful.
It helps
talk
me
to myself.
so much. Oh my god.
To be able to laugh.
Could you go into
to yourself.
why that's helpful to you?
If you can't bridge a question to an answer, talking it out will often get me to that answer.
Yes.
Hearing yourself say the things out loud, and, like, does that help you bridge these sort of gaps that you're trying to get through?
Yeah, it often goes with writing something down.
Yes.
Putting it out there for your ears to hear instead of just your mind to sort of comprehend. I think it'll bridge more pathways to something that you're trying to get at.
I used to, when I would feel like overwhelming feelings towards people, whether they were immediate relatives or people that I was romantically related with. Romantically related with. That's a funny way to put it. you can tell I don't do that anymore. That's done. But anyway, writing a letter to that person and not giving it to them.
Yes.
So that you can outline like why you feel, because everything is like
That's a
turned
great
up to
one.
12.
Putting it on.
Or
You know
write
what I
it
mean?
down
then
and
you're
burn
like,
it.
well, that's a better thing to do because sometimes the contents of that letter should never be revealed.
Yeah.
But,
Or just like your
but
own
it helps
feelings
you
for
understand
yourself.
what it is that you're feeling and why
Yes.
you're feeling so passionately. Number 9 on the list: concern yourself with what is right rather than who is right.
Yeah. Yes.
But who decides what is right?
Ooh.
It's all a matter of perspective.
I think it's in your heart of hearts.
Sounds complicated.
The ball just ran
Or
through
the
my
other
heart.
person's heart of hearts. I mean, the crux of the problem there is that
Hearthstone.
who finally decides what is right on that one.
See, that's another one of those things where when politics get brought up so often, it becomes so blue or red with so many issues. And, I think it gets forgotten a lot, like what is truly right. Because, I think that every argument has some validity to each side.
Are you tired of the rules for living with Charley Peach episode theme? Or would you like me to
Which is
continue
going to
down the
become a
list?
weekly podcast,
Yeah.
right?
Number 10. Never forget that no matter how certain, you might be wrong.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh.
Okay. So
Nothing's certain.
Looking at a y'all.
just being really open-minded.
Just
Just yeah.
Yes.
Anything in
Open-minded.
life is always just a matter of opinion. So right is only somebody's opinion. There isn't
right.
a cut. and dry
We
answer for that.
haven't we learned in the last few years that there is no truth?
Mhm.
Dang.
It's all relative.
Number 11, give up blood sports.
I can dig
What-
that.
what-
Just a
okay
silent,
with
ooh, just
Wanna
like the
elaborate?
heavy silence after that one.
The silence
That was
speaks
a
for itself.
dagger in the,
Yeah.
in the heart right there.
Can we define blood sport?
Politics.
Yes, I was gonna. I was afraid.
Oh.
Okay.
Forms of capitalism. Number 12, remember that your life belongs to others as well. Do not endanger it frivolously and never endanger the life of another. This is why Tom Gaffey does not eat meat.
Do you really? Are you a vegetarian?
Yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
He doesn't want to share his soul with an animal.
I will not share my soul with another animal.
Maybe this list is bad. Maybe I should stop reading it. Number 13, never lie to anyone for any reason. Lies of omission are sometimes exempt.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, lies of omission are sometimes. What? Lies of admission are sometimes.
Omission.
Omission
Wow.
are sometimes exempt.
Yeah.
Fuck you, dude.
You had a thought on this?
Not on this.
Okay.
I was going to tie it.
The thing
Tie
is
it.
that
Keep on the list.
You have
I'll-
a
the
thing
thing is that once you break anybody's trust, it's gone forever, and that's something that you can't get back. So
Some people are that way. Some people you betray their trust and they'll never trust you again. Other people are willing to.
I'm
Well,
willing,
it's one of the-
definitely me. I am willing. Forgiving is important to me.
well, it's
Is Charley Peach forgiving?
Are we? Are we?
I think the current era is. Maybe the previous era wasn't. Yeah.
You can ask the other members. Yeah, I think that even with people who are forgiving, though, there's always going to be something in the back of anybody's head when there's a lie said. It's always going to be a mental note that like, oh, that person is capable of that. And I think that maybe you can regain trust, but I don't think it's ever going to be 100% there. It's just one of those things you can't get back.
I think it's an interesting point. Emotional processing is fun to study in people. How people process, how people take rejection, how people take aggression towards them. Tom and I have very different styles.
Yeah,
Tom in the moment, if somebody upsets him or does something to him, outburst, throws things, you motherfucker, and just really in a very pure and wonderful way. What? Sometimes it's frustrating to be in the room with it. But after he gets it out, then he's good.
It's like, oh wow, that was
It's
awesome.
truly. I think it's actually a healthy way to be.
It is.
I'm more of like an internalizer. I'm like, all right, we'll
Me
we'll keep
too.
it calm.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I dig that.
But
That's me.
noted.
Yeah. Noted.
Yeah, that is
I
me.
remember that shit.
That is Kyle.
And you go home and you talk to yourself about what the fuck, what did that mean?
No, you just know the revenge is a dish best served cold. And maybe in a year or 5 or 10, it will be time to collect on that debt.
Things bite back.
I'm not that dark.
No, that's dark.
Yeah.
It's dark.
Anyway, we're
I like
learning
it.
something about everybody's way of doing things. Number 14, learn the needs of those around you and respect them.
Absolutely. Agree.
That's a good one.
Good relationship advice.
Yeah,
Yes.
and good coexisting in a band advice.
Oh, yes.
Well, that's a relationship.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it is perhaps the most important one.
Yeah.
Number 15, avoid the pursuit of happiness. Seek to define your mission and pursue that.
Whoa.
I like that. like that.
Talking about that, I think following what you love will often solve a lot of side things that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
Like through your process of doing what you love and getting better at it.
You know, I thought I needed therapy, but it turns out I just needed to go on Jim and Tom.
Yes.
This is better living through Charley Peach.
I'm having a blast.
See, Kyle,
I'm growing as a person every minute.
This is the
I
plan
really
all
like
along.
this actually.
Number 16, reduce your use of the first personal pronoun.
Yes.
Too
The
many
word
eyes.
I,
Too many
man.
eyes.
And if you can try and write a song without using that word, it gets really tough sometimes.
Man,
by the
it
way.
does. Man,
Yeah.
crap. Now
Do we have
listen-
any songs without
Yes,
the word I?
there are.
You know what I think is the most interesting thing to study is to study the lyricist
think
or
so. I
study
don't know.
the eulogist or study the author that's always saying I.
Shoot.
I don't think Wild Calling has
Yeah, I
the
was
word
about to
I
say
in
that,
it.
yeah.
I can't think
I was
of
literally-
throw caution to the wind. child.
Or Back from the Dead. I feel like Back from the Dead doesn't have eyes.
It does.
I said-
Says
Yeah, you
hands
don't
on
know
the wheel
me.
and I can't believe.
I actually was watching a pro songwriter, a very experienced guy, giving a lecture at a college that had like a popular music degree, and he was focused on lyrics, because if you're trying to be like a pop songwriter, it's more like you get the lyrics and the chords there, and then the band is gonna flesh it out. What he was saying that the word "you" is actually really powerful, because he said if you listen to a lot of really successful songs, they tend to say "you" because he was saying the listener wants to feel connected to, and whenever you're saying "you" in a song, you're reaching out.
You've had to deal with one friend passing. You mentioned that, and we can talk about that in a moment. But I've had to watch quite a few eulogies. Tom has had to watch far more than me. Study those eulogies that use I a lot. Big pet peeve of mine.
Yeah.
Making the eulogy that's supposed to be about the other person about themselves. There's a lot of people that do it, a lot of songs that do it.
Yeah, a lot of
and
songs.
now that you have it on your radar, I bet you'll notice it next time you get to go to a eulogy. Anyway, 17, praise at least as often as you disparage. That is a big one.
That's a big one. It's an important one.
We get too negative. We get too negative, and it corrodes our soul. Number 18, better living with Charley Peach. Never let your errors pass without admission. It's like sometimes you guys are
Wow.
fighting.
So denial, right? Talking about how somebody might not admit to themselves that this is something that's very wrong.
Sometimes you're just wrong when you're having an argument in Charley Peach. And you realize it halfway through the argument. And then it's time to just be like, you know what, I fucked up. I'm wrong.
I think that anytime that anybody gets in an argument, I think that there's a point when they're driving home that they kind of think to themselves, I was kind of an asshole there. Maybe I kind of deserve that. And that's how the
I'm
growth
doing that more
happens
for
that way.
myself as
So,
well. Like maybe I was wrong on that.
Sometimes
shit.
something that's
Yeah.
disguised.
I always feel like I have to say sorry a lot too, and like
Having
that-
the
that comes with
awareness during the conversation to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to retract that. I'm sorry. I think that's very hard to do when
You gotta
you're
have some
really
balls
on
to
this
do that.
point.
Number
It's hard,
19,
very
would you do me a favor and become less suspicious of joy? Some people see a happy
Damn,
person and they're
yeah.
like, fuck that person. What are you saying?
I'm going to drag you down with me.
Oh.
The last 5 are really short. Number 20, understand humility. 21, forgive. 22, foster dignity. 23, live memorably. 24, love yourself. And 25, one word that sums up Charley Peach in 2018,
Cosmic.
endure.
Endure.
Better Living Through Charley Peach and John Perry Barlow. You guys have a song called October Nights. This is about a life-changing experience that happened to you.
Well, October Nights is unquestionably about 2 people, but mostly one person named Lucia Lila, who died of cancer in 2008. And that experience to me was definitely the most significant thing I've ever experienced in my life, because I didn't know her that well before she got cancer, but she got ovarian cancer, and I saw her go through everything from just having some weird symptoms. I remember this one time we were all on a walk and she was really, really dragging behind, and she was really confused as to why, because she thought she was feeling good. And you know, she got diagnosed, and then she went through chemotherapy, and they said it was all gone, and then she came back, and then she went through chemotherapy again, and it came back again. And over a 2-year process, I saw absolutely everything in her life, from being totally normal to, I mean, I saw her 7 times in the last month of her life, and I talked to her extensively about what was going through her head as she was dying, and what she thought was going to happen, what it felt like. And, you know, I think that was, even though that was one of the most tragic experiences of my life, that was unquestionably one of the most valuable experiences in my life, because there's just something about life and death that I think that a lot of people don't understand until they experience it. That was actually my second experience with death. A really good friend of mine committed suicide when he was 15 years old, and a friend who, I believe it or not, I went to a few shows with here. And with October Nights, the main theme of that song is just watching somebody and understanding, like, I'm in a different position than this person. I get to keep going on. They don't. And this is a person who had a beginning, a middle, and end. They had parents, they had family, they had friends, they had experiences, and all of that is fading into nothing. And, you know, I get to keep on living that. So, you know, that experience shaped me. That experience made it so that every single day I try to wake up and I try to be grateful for what I have.
I kind of think that for everything you just said, it kind of makes sense. Like, you know, I think that really, maybe that song in particular actually might sum it up better than any of our other songs. What you were saying in the intro when we were talking about that was written about us, I don't know it word for word, but something about like dark something. And
online it's written that Charley Peach is an updated interpretation of American rock that balances dark realities with optimistic jams.
See that? So there's like that, you know, that positive message. So it's not like we're trying to be like super negative all the time or anything. Just the dark stuff generates, you know, some good messages.
Sometimes things happen in our lives that change us forever, and that was one for you. And it's interesting to zero in on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything you would say about that? I mean, you're the vocalist with it.
Definitely, I agree with everything.
Do you think our experiences shape that song at all?
Well, do you mind if I talk about
Yeah,
okay,
if you
so
want, sure.
a few years ago he was diagnosed with something called intussusception, and explain more.
Telescoping of the intestine. It's just where the intestine folds in on itself, and, you know, it could be really life-threatening because it cuts off circulation, and it can perforate your intestinal cavity, and it could get infected. And, you know, there was a little, you know, it's funny because one of the reasons that this relates is because there was a moment where, I mean, I was really sick for a few months, and, you know, I became the biggest hypochondriac in the world because of all that I experienced with Lucia dying. And
I watched him kind of go through this experience. We at first were really afraid of, you know, the symptoms. We didn't know what was going on. It was constantly like, okay, like it could be this, it could be that. And once they figured out what it was, they told him this could kill you. Like, this could be caused by a tumor. This is common in children, not common in adults.
Not only that. Well, go ahead.
And I guess when I relate to this song, watching someone go through that and not having any control over the situation, and just watching them suffer, and you feel so small. That's how when I sing that song, that's what I think of, is just watching someone suffer, and I'm just here and I'm okay, and all I can do is just be there for them. And and then, you know, seeing him now, you know, pull through, and he still deals with it to this day, and it's made him a stronger person and more, you know, it all goes back to being grateful. And
I always think that with Kayleen, one way that her perspective differs is because, you know, in my experience, my person died. With Kayleen, I had something kind of similar happen with me, where I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and we thought it was possible something could happen every single day. And you know what? I came out of that, and that just added to my appreciation. And, you know, I think that opened her eyes to that too, because, you know, that was experience that could have could have gone a very different way, and it could have
scary
affected our lives
experience.
drastically. Charley Peach wouldn't exist.
Charley Peach stopped because of that. That was why that was one of the
Mhm.
reasons why we took a break from our last group of people. One of the biggest reasons, and that was a scary time.
Did that incident happening with you two kind of bring into focus how much you care about each other in terms of like maybe before that something that you would have disagreed about would have been a lot more of a problem than after that? Sometimes it takes events like that to make you kind of realize, okay, this is noise and this is important.
Yes, I feel like I appreciate him more, and I just want to. It's about listening more and about being supportive and knowing just what he needs each day, and communication, and just
and of course that goes both ways, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, because being in that situation, being the victim of something like that, can really make you want to give back more.
You probably don't go a day without thinking about that person that passed away.
Oh, no.
And
No way.
without thinking about the experience you had with the
No way.
health issues.
No way.
Yeah.
I appreciate the small things.
becomes
in
a
him,
part of you.
Our experiences. I appreciate our small things, just like what we talk about. Even just like laughing at a silly YouTube video. That's like my favorite moment, is just having that. You
Mhm.
know, it's just being able to go on a walk with you. You
Mhm.
know, and so that's how that's changed me. That situation.
Defining moment.
Yeah.
Things like that you can let destroy you, or you can use to chart your path forward.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah,
Of
thank
course.
you. Yeah.
I mean, that's all
Totally.
what we're all about. The
Mhm.
art.
Of
Trying
living.
to take
The art of
try-
living with Charley Peach.
I mean, the art of turning something devastating into something beautiful. At least that's the goal.
The episode is Better Living Through Charley Peach. And so the final prompt would be Better Living Through Charley Peach with Jim and Tom. So the final prompt would be, would your life be worse if you weren't in this band?
Oh, so much.
Absolutely.
worse. Yes.
Mhm.
Would you be less happy?
So I would be.
My life would be far worse without this band.
Just
I love
in my
it.
opinion, it would be worse. But it's
Every day's a lesson, man. I'm
Yeah.
just riding the wave.
Yeah.
Every practice is meditation.
Yes.
I think that's good. I want to zero in on how is this like meditation, each practice.
Ooh, yeah. Do it.
So I feel that I express myself most playing music. It's the easiest platform for me to be able to share what I'm thinking. And one way in meditation, which I have, there was a period of my life where I was practicing meditation.
Awesome.
But through meditation, you're alone with your thoughts. And a lot of people think meditation is getting rid of your thoughts, whereas it's more of ordering them. Instead, like, there are a million things happening at once that you're thinking about, but think of it as like a freeway, getting rid of all the traffic, just having even speeds of everything going. And this is sort of what's happening at a practice. I'm sorting out whatever happened before I got there. I started playing music, and then everything started, like the traffic ended, is when I started practicing. So I love being with these guys because they help me stay on track.
I feel the same way.
How else could you end an episode of Better Living Through Charley Peach than with that combination of thoughts right there?
Yeah.
We very much appreciate any band, and this band has done it, that comes on here and is real and is serious and shares parts of themselves that you would not find just by listening to the music. That is what makes a good episode, and we truly appreciate it when somebody comes and does that. So thank you so much for that.
Aww, thank
we
you.
appreciate being
Thank
here.
you guys so much.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much for having us here.
We really
Thanks.
appreciate it. Thanks for having this
Thank
platform.
you.
Thank
you.
so much, you guys.
Thank you. And with that, the interview is over, and we move on to part 2, a performance by the band
Stick
known
around and
as
listen to this.
Charley Peach
Charley
is
Peach.
next. This has been an episode of Better Living with Charley Peach, featuring guests Jim and Tom. Thanks again for joining us, Charley Peach. The
Thank you.
performance is next.
Baby, now you're one of us. Ain't it fun? Ain't it fun? Ain't it fun? Ain't it fun? Living in the real world. Being all alone. Ain't it fun? Living in the real world. 'Cause the world don't focus on you. Ain't it I wanna be all those people in the magazines, lights are shining down on the sea, and a perfect reflection of leaving complexion.